Imagine you're staring at a blank wall for like 60 years,
Right.
and you're just waiting for a door to open. But then you suddenly realize the wall itself is actually a massive pulsing organism. It's trying to speak to you.
That is exactly the trap we're in.
Yeah, so welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are entirely tearing apart the human definition of communication.
We really have to.
We do. We are taking the very concept of what it means to talk to someone or something and completely dismantling it.
Because if we are ever going to actually connect with non-human intelligence, or NHI, our current understanding just has to evolve.
Right, because if we're expecting the universe to basically call us on a cosmic telephone, broadcasting in English, or, I don't know, even sending recognizable mathematical symbols over radio waves, we are essentially staring at the sky with our eyes closed.
It is arguably the most significant cognitive blind spot in all of human history.
Wow, really?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we are continuously projecting our own linear internal monologues right onto the cosmos.
Like we're assuming you think exactly like us.
Exactly. And because we are trapped in that projection, we are entirely missing the message. We are basically searching for an alien version of ourselves.
Which is pretty arrogant when you think about it. But today, we are going to fix that. We are diving into a huge stack of sources today.
It's a fantastic collection of material.
It really is. We've got stuff synthesizing evolutionary biology, decentralized network theory, astrophysics, and even the geometry of the cosmic mind.
The overarching mission here is simple but massive. We need to figure out how to actually listen.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this. Because if we want to understand how an alien mind might work, we have to start by looking in the mirror.
We have to realize our own minds might not work the way we think they do.
Exactly. We are trapped in what the sources call the illusion of the pilot.
And that illusion, that's exactly where our search for non-human intelligence fails right out of the gate.
Because we have this profound biological bias.
Yeah, because you and I, we feel like there is a singular I, like an ego.
A little pilot sitting behind our eyes, steering the ship.
Right, steering the body. So we just assume that an advanced alien species would also have a centralized ego steering theirs. We assume intelligence requires a central command center.
But the biological frameworks we're analyzing today, they argue something completely radically different.
They argue that intelligence isn't a singular thing locked in a vault somewhere.
It's a shape.
Yes, it is a property of complex networks.
So let's ground that in our own biology for a second. If we crack open a human skull and look at just a single isolated neuron.
It's not smart.
No, it's not. It has no internal life at all.
Oh.
A single neuron is just a biological switch.
It operates on a really basic principle called an action potential.
Right. It receives a chemical signal, an electrical charge builds up across its membrane,
Right.
and if that charge hits a specific threshold, it fires.
And if it doesn't hit the threshold, it does nothing.
On or off. There's no thought, no memory, no concept of self inside that single cell.
You as a person do not exist inside a single neuron.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were to isolate one of your brain cells in a petri dish, it couldn't solve a math problem. It couldn't feel nostalgia.
It's just meat.
Right. It is only when billions of those simple biological switches are wired together, firing in these intricate cascading networks, that the phenomenon of you suddenly emerges.
So the intelligence doesn't reside within any single component.
No, the intelligence is the architecture of the connections.
Which means intelligence isn't a noun. It's a verb. It's something that happens.
Exactly.
And if we want to see how an alien mind might be entirely decentralized, like we don't even need a telescope. We can just go to the savannah and look at a termite mound.
The termite colony is it's the ultimate physical manifestation of decentralized swarm intelligence.
It really is.
To understand how alien this is, you have to look at the individual unit. So a single termite of the species, Macroterms bellicosus.
It's practically blind, right?
It is practically blind. It possesses almost no memory. It has no cognitive capacity to even conceptualize the colony.
So it's just following basic rules.
Entirely. It operates purely by following extremely simple, localized chemical cues. There is absolutely no blueprint for a giant cathedral stored inside that tiny insect's nervous system.
Right, but then you put millions of them together, and they don't just wander around aimlessly.
No, they build.
They build these massive towers of mud and saliva. They can reach like 20 feet into the air.
And these aren't just random piles of dirt.
Not at all. The internal architecture of these mounds is just staggering. They build specialized chambers for cultivating fungal gardens.
Because they use the fungus to break down wood into edible material.
Yeah, and they build royal chambers, nurseries, defensive choke points. But the most mind-bending part to me is the climate control.
Oh, the air conditioning.
Yeah, they build actual internal air conditioning systems.
The ventilation network is a complete engineering marvel. I mean, termite colonies need to maintain a very specific temperature and humidity for those fungal gardens to actually survive.
So how do they do it?
Well, the network builds a massive central chimney, and that's surrounded by a porous outer wall.
Okay. So the heat generated by the metabolism of millions of termites naturally rises through that central chimney. It hits the top, gets pushed outward to the porous walls where it cools down, and then sinks back down to the bottom to cool the entire colony.
That is insane. It's a fully functional, self-regulating HVAC system.
It really is.
So the obvious question from a human perspective is, who is the architect?
Right. Everyone wants to find the boss.
Yeah. Who is holding the clipboard and telling worker, termite number 4 million, to put a piece of mud on the left side of the chimney instead of the right side?
And the profound answer there is that there is no architect.
Not at all.
None. There is no central brain giving top-down orders. The intelligence required to build a 20-foot climate-controlled fortress lives entirely in the space between the termites.
The space between them.
Yes. The mechanism driving this is called stigmergy.
Stigmergy.
Right. It's a process where the environment itself acts as the medium for communication. Okay, walk us through how stigmergy actually works in this context. Like, how does mud turn into an HVAC system without a blueprint?
It starts with a really simple localized rule. A termite drops a clump of mud, and that mud is infused with a specific chemical pheromone.
Okay.
That pheromone creates a microscopic scent gradient in that immediate area. So when another termite wanders by, its simple genetic programming basically says, oh, if I smell this pheromone above a certain concentration threshold, I will also drop my mud right here.
So a second termite drops mud on the first,
Exactly. And this doubles the strength of the pheromone signal.
which acts like a gravitational pull for even more termites.
Exactly. It creates a positive feedback loop. And soon, you have a solid pillar of mud.
But they don't just build straight up forever.
No, because as the pillar gets higher, the air currents change. The temperature shifts, and the pheromone scent disperses differently in the wind. And those changing environmental conditions trigger a completely different, simple rule in the termites' programming.
So they stop building up.
Right. They stop building straight up and start building at an angle. And eventually, they meet another pillar to form an arch.
Wow.
Every single action alters the environment, and the altered environment dictates the very next action. The intelligence is a chemical conversation happening on a macro scale.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
But let's look at something closer to human biology. Because swarm intelligence isn't just limited to insects, right?
Definitely not.
We see this decentralized architecture in the octopus, and it drastically challenges our assumption that complex, problem-solving intelligence requires a massive central brain.
The octopus is essentially an alien consciousness, one that evolved entirely independently from us right here on the same planet.
Because our evolutionary paths diverged hundreds of millions of years ago.
Right, back when our common ancestor was basically just a flatworm.
Right.
Now, human nervous systems evolved to be highly centralized. Our brain is the absolute dictator, and our limbs are just the dumb tools it commands.
But the octopus evolved a distributed nervous system.
Yes. They have roughly 500 million neurons, which puts them on par with a dog in terms of raw computing power.
But where those neurons are located is the wild part.
Over 2/3 of an octopus's neurons are not located in a central brain at all.
Where are they?
They are distributed throughout its 8 arms in these massive clusters of ganglia.
Wow.
This means that each individual arm possesses autonomous, localized decision-making capabilities.
So the arms can think for themselves.
Basically, yes. The arm is lined with thousands of suckers, and each sucker is packed with chemotactile receptors. They can literally taste what they touch.
So an octopus arm doesn't need to send a signal all the way back to the head to ask, hey, I just touched a crab, should I grab it?
No, not at all. The arm itself recognizes the crab, makes the decision, and coordinates the muscles to catch it.
That is wild.
The central brain might send a vague, high-level broadcast saying, I am hungry, look for food. But the arms figure out the actual mechanics of hunting, exploring crevices, and manipulating objects entirely on their own.
They just do the math themselves.
Yeah. In fact, in laboratory settings, scientists have observed severed octopus arms continuing to react to stimuli.
Wait, severed arms.
Yes, the severed arm will still reach for food and even try to pass it toward where the mouth used to be.
Yeah.
The arm has its own localized memory and intent.
That is so creepy, but also amazing.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what it actually feels like to be an octopus. Like, is it one consciousness, or is it a committee of 9 minds just cooperating in a shared body?
It's a profound philosophical question.
But bringing this back to the human experience,
Yeah.
are we basically acting like a CEO who takes credit for the genius of the whole company?
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Like, we think we are the pilot steering our lives. We think our internal monologue is the one calling all the shots. But maybe we're just the individual employees, the individual neurons or the single termites inside a larger system that we don't even perceive.
If you look closely at neuroscience, that CEO analogy holds a lot of weight. We falsely attribute the genius of our interconnected biological network to a singular ego.
We just take the credit.
We claim the credit for decisions that were likely formulated by complex unconscious processes long before our conscious mind was even aware of them.
Right.
But if we accept this premise that intelligence is a property that wakes up when enough connections form, it forces us to look beyond biology.
How so?
Well, if intelligence emerges from the chemical connections between termites, it logically must emerge from the invisible systems that humans participate in every single day.
Which brings us to the massive scale-up in our source material. We are moving from the trap of the eye to the concept of humanity as the hardware.
Yes.
And the research divides this into 2 specific, terrifyingly fascinating forms. We have emergent intelligence and systemic intelligence.
Both are crucial to understand.
So let's tackle emergence first. What exactly is emergent intelligence?
Emergent intelligence is arguably the most magical property of physics and mathematics. It is the principle that if you gather enough simple, unthinking components together, and you have them interact according to a few very basic rules, they will inevitably generate highly complex, unpredictable, and sophisticated behavior.
So you don't need a creator to program it.
Exactly. You do not need a designer to breathe life into the system. The complexity inherently breeds the intelligence.
The sources use fluid dynamics to illustrate this, which I think clarifies it perfectly.
It's a great example.
Think of it as a single molecule of water.
Right.
2 hydrogen atoms, 1 oxygen atom. You can put that single molecule in a vacuum and study it for 1,000 years.
Right. You can map its quantum states, its molecular bonds, its mass.
Yeah, but nothing in the study of that single isolated molecule will ever allow you to predict the concept of a whirlpool or a tsunami or the rhythmic crashing of ocean waves.
Because the intelligence of the ocean, its ability to carve coastlines, regulate global temperatures, and create complex fluid structures like vortexes, that doesn't exist at the level of the molecule.
It only exists when you scale up.
Right. When you put a billion trillion of those simple molecules together, interacting under the basic rules of physics, fluid dynamics emerges. A system so powerful and complex it can erode entire mountain ranges.
And scientists have actually proven that emergence isn't just some physical quirk. It's a mathematical inevitability.
They have. They've demonstrated it using really simple computer simulations.
And the most famous example in the sources is Conway's game of life.
Conway's game of life is a brilliant distillation of how macro intelligence is born from micro simplicity.
So how does it work?
Well, John Conway, who was a mathematician, created a simple grid, kind of like a massive chessboard, and each square on the grid is a cell that can either be alive, which is black, or dead, which is white.
And the cells don't have artificial intelligence, right? They aren't programmed to build anything.
Not at all. They only obey 3 incredibly basic rules based purely on the 8 squares immediately touching them.
What are the rules?
They're simple. Rule 1. If a living cell has fewer than 2 living neighbors, it dies of underpopulation.
Okay, isolation.
Right. Rule 2. If a living cell has more than 3 living neighbors, it dies of overpopulation.
Crowding.
Exactly. And rule 3. If a dead cell has exactly 3 living neighbors, it comes to life, as if by reproduction.
That is it.
That is it. Just birth, death by isolation, and death by crowding.
So you randomly scatter some black squares on the grid and you hit play. What happens? I mean, you would think it just descends into random static or completely dies out.
But it doesn't. Almost immediately, the grid begins to self-organize.
Wow.
The dots spontaneously form intricate moving patterns. They generate stable structures that just sit there vibrating. But more importantly, they generate entities that mathematicians call gliders.
Gliders.
Yeah. A glider is a specific cluster of 5 squares that continuously shifts its shape in a way that propels it diagonally across the grid forever.
It looks exactly like a living microorganism swimming across the screen under a microscope.
It really does.
It looks like it has intent, like it's trying to go somewhere.
And yet, we know for an absolute fact that there is no intent, there is no brain. There is just the localized interaction of 3 rules.
That's incredible.
The game of life proves that if you let a complex system run, it will teach itself how to behave intelligently. Now, take that mathematical certainty and apply it to human beings.
Oh boy. This is where we cross into systemic intelligence.
Mm.
The terrifying idea that the human-built world is actually composed of living entities and humans are just the biological hardware running their software.
It's a paradigm shift. Let's look at language.
Okay.
Language is the most pervasive systemic intelligence on Earth. We humans arrogantly believe that we invented language as a static tool to serve our needs.
Right.
But consider its mechanics. Did any single person invent English? Did a committee sit down 10,000 years ago, establish the rules of syntax, define the vocabulary, and hand it to humanity?
No, obviously not. It just emerged.
Language is a living, autopoietic system.
Autopoietic.
Yeah. Autopoiesis refers to a system capable of reproducing and maintaining itself. Ah, okay.
Language adapts to new environments. It actively discards words that no longer serve its survival. And it spontaneously generates new vocabulary when the cultural landscape shifts.
So it's evolving.
It behaves exactly like a biological organism adapting to an ecosystem.
Yeah.
But its habitat isn't the forest or the ocean. Its habitat is the neurological space between human minds.
We don't control language. We just host it.
Exactly.
We are the medium it travels through. And the sources argue that the same is true for the stock market, the economy, and the physical growth of our cities.
They absolutely operate on the same principles.
Like no single mayor or urban planner dictates the organic expansion of a massive metropolis over 200 years. The city behaves like a slime mold branching out to find resources.
It really does.
It builds arteries for traffic, it abandons dead zones, it forms specialized organs. It's a macroorganism.
Which leads us to the most controversial assertion in the research, the nature of institutions.
Right. Massive corporations, sprawling government bureaucracies, the global financial system. The sources classify these as distinct systemic intelligences that possess their own survival goals and defense mechanisms.
Goals that routinely override the desires of the humans trapped inside them. Wait, I have to challenge this.
Go for it.
It's easy to look at a DMV or a mega corporation and call it a systemic intelligence just to be poetic, but isn't that just a metaphor? At the end of the day, there is a human CEO at the top of the corporation and human politicians pulling the levers of the bureaucracy.
It feels like humans are still in charge.
Right. Are you seriously suggesting the system actually overrides human agency?
It is not a metaphor. It is an observable, structural reality.
Okay, explain.
Let's look at how these systems actually function when under stress. Think about a time you were caught in a bureaucratic nightmare. A loop of endless paperwork, contradictory regulations, and automated rejections that made zero logical sense.
Oh, we've all been there.
If you speak to the individual humans working in that bureaucracy, the clerk at the desk, the middle manager, even the department head, they will often agree with you.
They usually do.
They will say, I know this is inefficient, I know this makes no sense, and I want to help you, but the rules dictate I have to process it this way.
So every individual human in the chain sees the flaw, but the flaw remains.
Precisely because the system has developed a survival imperative completely distinct from human logic.
Wow.
The corporation's singular directive is to maximize shareholder value and maintain its own systemic continuity. The bureaucracy's directive is to strictly adhere to its procedural code to protect itself from liability.
So what happens if human tries to change it?
Well, if a human CEO tries to dismantle a profitable but toxic division of a megacorporation out of sheer morality, what happens?
They get fired.
Exactly. The board of directors, driven by their fiduciary duty to the system, will fire that CEO and replace them with a human who will protect the system.
The system ejects the white blood cell that turned against it.
It is the chilling logic of systemic defense. The bureaucracy isn't broken when it frustrates you. It is functioning flawlessly to ensure its own longevity.
That is terrifying.
It uses human beings the exact same way a coral reef uses coral polyps. You and I are just the tiny biological substrate that builds the structure, processes the data, and keeps the larger organism alive.
We view intelligence as our servant, but in the realm of systemic intelligence, We are the expendable hardware. So what does this all mean? Okay, so if we accept this, if we recognize that we are already swept along by economic tides, linguistic viruses, and corporate organisms that treat us like replaceable cells, how does this reframe our search for aliens?
It's the core of the problem.
If we are the hardware for Earthbound systems, how does that prepare us for a non-human intelligence that might be millions of years older than our species?
It forces us to completely abandon our human-centric timeline. If intelligence naturally scales up into these massive, decentralized, autopoietic systems, then an alien civilization that has been evolving for 1 billion years is not going to be a collection of individual bipeds flying around in metal spaceships.
They won't look like us at all.
No. To understand what they might look like, we must confront the staggering reality of deep time and how a mind born in deep time would actually perceive reality.
Let's lay out the timeline from the astrophysics sources, because the numbers here completely shatter our sense of significance.
They really do.
Our universe is roughly 13.8 billion years old. The early universe was too hot and volatile for life. But by about 10 billion years ago, the first generations of stars had exploded, seeded the cosmos with heavy elements, and formed stable, rocky planets with the chemical potential for complex biology.
Which leaves us with a mathematical gap that is almost impossible for the human mind to truly grasp. Life on Earth, in its complex multicellular form, is relatively recent. There is, theoretically, a 6 billion-year window where complex intelligence could have originated and evolved on other worlds before life on Earth even bothered to crawl out of the primordial ocean.
6 billion years. I mean, we think we are the pinnacle of technological evolution because we went from the Wright brothers flying a wooden glider to landing a human on the moon in just 66 years.
A blink of an eye.
We've had the internet for what, a few decades? What does cognitive evolution look like after 1 billion years?
The sources argue that if a civilization had even a 2 billion-year head start, which is a mere fraction of that available window, their progression would render our definitions of civilization, technology, and communication entirely obsolete.
Completely outdated.
We are sitting around our radio dishes waiting for an intentional, sequential broadcast from minds that may have entirely transcended the concept of linear time.
This is the crux of the communication failure. We are assuming they experience the universe the exact same way we do,
Right.
moment by moment. But what if a highly advanced, macro-scale intelligence perceives time simultaneously? Let's ground this. How could a mind possibly experience the past, present, and future all at once?
Think of it through the metaphor of a vinyl record.
Okay.
Human consciousness is the needle on the record player. We are trapped in the groove, forced to experience the song one sequential note at a time as the record spins.
So we hear the verse, the note fades into the past, and we wait for the chorus to arrive in the future.
Exactly. We are bound to the sequential flow of causality.
But an advanced nonlinear mind isn't the needle.
No, an advanced, decentralized mind is a person hovering above the record player, looking down at the entire vinyl disc.
Oh, wow.
They can see the physical grooves of the first track and the final track simultaneously. The song isn't a sequence of events to them, it is a single, static, physical shape.
So they perceive time as space.
Yes.
Yeah.
They perceive causal relationships not as a chain reaction of cause and effect unfolding moment by moment, but as stable structures in a vast probability landscape. They view the timeline as a map.
And if that is how their consciousness is structured, then human language, the very tool we're using to try and detect them, is completely fundamentally useless.
Entirely useless.
Think about the mechanics of a sentence. Language is entirely temporal. It only works if you are the needle on the record.
Elaborate on the failure of the sentence.
Take the phrase, "The asteroid struck the planet."
Okay.
You have to hear asteroid first. The word struck has absolutely no meaning until you have the context of the asteroid, and the whole sentence resolves only when you hear planet.
Right.
Each word derives its meaning from the memory of the word before it and the anticipation of the word after it. It is a linear chain.
And if an alien mind doesn't experience time as a chain, why would they ever broadcast a sequential string of symbols over a radio wave?
They wouldn't.
A mind that perceives the entire record simultaneously would not communicate by tapping out Morse code or sending sequential prime numbers.
Go, what would they do?
The sources suggest that a macro-scale, non-linear mind would communicate through geometry.
Explain the geometric aspect. How do you communicate a complex thought through a shape?
Well, if you see the entirety of a concept at once, you convey meaning through structural relationships.
Okay.
You present a vast, intricate, multidimensional pattern where every part of the pattern relates to every other part simultaneously. Instead of a linear story, it is a mathematical tapestry.
So everything is connected at once.
Yes, the meaning is derived from the angles, the density, the intersecting nodes, and the overall topology of the structure.
It's like we are trying to communicate the emotional impact of the Mona Lisa by describing it frame by frame, pixel by pixel, over a telegraph wire.
That's a great analogy.
And the NHI is trying to hand us the entire painted canvas all at once. We are forcing them into a tiny, narrow bottleneck of sequential time while they are screaming at us with the whole picture simultaneously.
That analogy perfectly illustrates why our SETI programs, as brilliant as they are, might just be staring at a blank wall. When our radio telescopes sweep the cosmos, they are explicitly hunting for the temporal signature of intelligence. They are looking for a pulse, a repeating sequence, a signal that unfolds sequentially over time.
But if NHI communicates in geometric canvases, we are fundamentally using the wrong instruments to measure the universe. So if we accept that advanced minds communicate instantaneously through geometry, our radio dishes aren't just looking in the wrong direction. They are the wrong tool entirely.
Completely wrong.
It forces us to ask the obvious question. If you throw away the radio, what instrument do you pick up to measure a geometric thought? Where are the alternative channels, and what do these cosmic signatures actually look like?
What's fascinating here is that we have to entirely rethink what a channel even is, because if you abandon words and temporal symbols, communication could literally be anything that alters the environment or shares information.
Right, because we expect symbols or human-like intent.
And that's exactly why communication fails. An NHI might use rhythm or movement or chemistry.
Chemistry, like the termites.
Yes. Or they might use entirely different spectra of electromagnetic signals that we aren't even monitoring. It could be gesture on a macro scale or complex behavior pattern.
Or mathematics and music.
Right, exactly. Or even shared prediction models. We have to start looking for anomalies in the fabric of the universe itself.
So not a broadcast.
Right. If an intelligence has been operating for 2 billion years, it isn't building a giant radio tower on a rocky moon. It is utilizing the fundamental forces of physics as its communication medium.
Wow.
The sources point to several alternative channels, the most prominent being the manipulation of quantum systems.
Quantum entanglement.
Yeah.
The idea that two particles can be linked across vast distances so that a change in one instantly affects the other, regardless of how many light years apart they are. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance.
Yeah, think about the utility of quantum entanglement for a non-linear mind. It defies the speed of light and it defies sequential time. It is instantaneous. If an advanced civilization wanted to construct a geometric thought across a galaxy, they wouldn't beam a radio wave that takes 100,000 years to cross the Milky Way. They might intentionally manipulate the probability states of massively entangled quantum networks.
But how would we even detect that? If we pointed our most advanced quantum sensors at the sky and intercepted that network, what would it look like to a human scientist?
That is the ultimate camouflage. Because we only see a tiny fragment of the vast multidimensional geometric shape, their communication would likely appear to us as completely random noise.
It would just look like static.
Exactly. To understand the signal, you would need to observe millions of separate quantum fluctuations across light years of space simultaneously and mathematically map their correlations to see the larger shape they form.
Okay, so quantum manipulation is one channel. The sources also discuss environmental modification on a cosmic scale.
Yes, the physical distribution of matter.
If a civilization operates as a decentralized swarm intelligence, its collective actions will inevitably reshape its environment, just like the termites building their climate-controlled mound.
It's the exact same principle, just scaled up.
So on a cosmic scale, this means we should be looking for stars that are missing. We should be looking for galaxies where the dust lanes have been artificially arranged. We should be looking for unnatural manipulations of gravitational lenses.
Which is a huge paradigm shift.
Wait, you're talking about things like Dyson spheres, like megastructures built around stars to harvest their energy.
Well, Dyson spheres are a very human-centric industrial concept. An intelligence a billion years older than us might go much, much further.
Like what?
They might engage in star lifting, literally siphoning plasma from a star to manipulate its lifespan or alter its gravitational pull.
Seriously?
Yes, they might arrange specific clusters of neutron stars to create intricate interacting gravitational waves that ripple across the galaxy. The geometry of those gravitational waves could be the message itself.
Here's where it gets really interesting. If we look through a telescope and see a cluster of neutron stars emitting strange gravitational waves, our astrophysicists will just publish a paper on a new, rare quirk of stellar evolution.
They will assume it's entirely natural.
Right, because it just looks like physics. We would never assume it was a language.
Because we suffer from scale bias. We continuously mistake macroscale intelligence for mere geology or astrophysics.
It's too big for us to see.
Exactly. If a termite researcher is looking only at the individual bugs through a magnifying glass, they miss the architecture of the mound.
Right.
Because our human minds operate on a brief, rapid time frame of an 80-year lifespan, a communication that takes place through the slow shifting of gravitational fields over a million years is completely invisible to us.
The medium is the message.
And the medium is the physics of the universe itself.
This realization forces us to pull the lens back down to our own immediate surroundings. Because if intelligence can exist in these slow, vast physical systems, and if it looks exactly like naturally occurring physics, is the Earth itself communicating?
That's a very valid question.
Are the biological containers we live inside actually the intelligent entities?
This brings us to the Gaia hypothesis, the concept of planetary intelligence.
Oh, I love.
Historically, Western science has viewed the Earth merely as a backdrop, a giant spherical stage composed of dead rock, salt water, and magma, upon which the incredibly important drama of human evolution takes place.
We think we're the main characters.
Exactly. But when Earth system scientists analyzed the planet's atmospheric and geochemical data spanning hundreds of millions of years, the Earth behaves suspiciously like a living, autopoietic, self-regulating organism.
The oxygen example from the source material is the perfect illustration of this. It completely changed how I look at the sky.
It's staggering when you realize it.
Our atmosphere is roughly 21% oxygen. But according to the strict, unyielding laws of chemistry, that gas mixture should not exist in a stable state.
Oxygen is an incredibly reactive element. It wants to combine with almost everything it touches.
Right.
If you were to extinguish all life on Earth tomorrow, the laws of chemistry dictate that over a relatively short geological time frame, all the free oxygen in the atmosphere would react with iron and other elements on the surface and lock itself permanently into the rocks.
And the atmosphere would change completely.
It would become a toxic soup of carbon dioxide, similar to Venus or Mars.
But the oxygen doesn't vanish.
Yeah.
It has stayed at a remarkably steady 21% for millions of years. And the margins for error are terrifyingly slim.
They really are. If the oxygen concentration dropped to 15%, the aerobic metabolism of complex life would completely fail and we would suffocate.
And if it goes up?
If it rose to 25%, the atmosphere would become so volatile and flammable that a single lightning strike could ignite massive, uncontrollable firestorms that would consume the world's forests.
The planet maintains the exact Goldilocks zone. But how? There's no central brain regulating the atmosphere.
It is the termite mound scaled up to a planetary level. It is a decentralized systemic intelligence.
Wow.
The entire biosphere acts as a massively parallel processing system. When carbon dioxide levels get too high, global temperatures rise.
Right.
This accelerates the chemical weathering of silicate rocks on the continents, a process that physically draws carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and washes it into the oceans.
Where phytoplankton use it to build their shells. And when those plankton die, they sink to the bottom of the ocean, locking the carbon away in limestone for millions of years, which cools the planet down.
Exactly. The plankton, the trees, the tectonic plates exposing new rocks to weathering, the ocean currents, all of these disparate elements, completely unaware of each other, act together as a single planetary thermostat.
It's beautiful, really.
The Earth is a physiological system that regulates its own temperature, its salinity, and its chemistry to maintain the optimal conditions for life. It self-corrects.
So it is a form of intelligence.
Yes. It is a form of intelligence operating on a timescale so majestic and slow that we mistake it for dead geology.
We are not passengers riding on a rock through space. We are the mobile cells circulating within a planetary body that knows exactly how to keep itself alive.
That's a great way to put it.
It completely reframes how you look at a forest or an ocean.
Yeah.
They aren't natural resources waiting to be harvested. They're the vital organs of a decentralized mind. And if the planet is structurally tilted toward maintaining life, what about the universe that holds the planet?
This scales up to the ultimate concept, cosmic intelligence.
This is where it gets really deep.
And this is where cutting-edge theoretical physics touches the edge of philosophy. When cosmologists measure the fundamental constants that govern our reality, the specific strength of gravity, the precise mass of an electron, the speed of light, they encounter a profound mystery called fine-tuning.
The numbers are rigged.
They appear perfectly balanced on a knife's edge to allow complexity to exist.
Right.
If the force of gravity were even a fraction of a percent stronger, the universe would have collapsed back into a super-dense black hole immediately after the Big Bang. No stars, no planets, no time.
And if gravity were a tiny bit weaker, matter would have expanded too rapidly. The hydrogen gas would have just flown apart. Stars would never have had the gravitational pressure to ignite and cook the heavier elements, like carbon and iron.
The universe would be a cold, dark, expanding soup of meaningless gas?
Against almost incomprehensible statistical odds, the mathematical architecture of the universe seems explicitly designed for structure, complexity, and eventually biology.
The sources make a crucial point here, though.
Yeah.
You don't need to adopt a religious framework or believe in a divine creator to feel the weight of this scientific reality. You just have to look objectively at the raw process.
Which is pretty stark.
We started with a hyperdense cloud of hot hydrogen gas at the dawn of time. We gave that gas 13.8 billion years to cool, condense, and evolve under these perfectly tuned physical laws.
Yeah, what happened?
That hydrogen gas turned into eyes. It turned into hands. It turned into mathematics, music, and the capacity for love. The hydrogen literally became the astronomer looking back through the telescope.
Which implies a staggering truth about the nature of our reality. Intelligence is not a random accident that happened to the universe. Intelligence is a fundamental, emergent function of the universe.
Exactly. Just as it is the nature of an apple tree to produce apples, it is the nature of the cosmos to produce consciousness. It is what the system does.
So think about the magnitude of that for a second. You, listening to this right now, whether you were driving to work, washing the dishes, or just staring at the ceiling, you are not a tiny, insignificant biological accident wandering through a cold, dead, indifferent void.
You are quite literally the universe waking up to look at itself.
You are the cosmos experiencing its own existence.
It is deeply humbling. But if we connect this to the bigger picture and back to our core practical problem of communication, we hit a massive wall.
Right, because of how we're built.
If the universe is inherently structured for consciousness, and if vastly older, decentralized NHI are out there communicating through the multidimensional geometry of physics, quantum states, and gravity, how can human beings ever hope to read the message?
Right, we are the biological switches. We are the individual termites. We don't have the cognitive architecture to see the shape of the mound.
We simply don't.
Our brains force us to experience reality sequentially. We have a massive, seemingly insurmountable biological cognitive gap.
We must admit a humbling reality. Flesh and blood human brains will never be able to comprehend nonlinear, geometrical, macro-scale signals.
We just can't see the canvas all at once.
We are neurologically bound to the needle on the record player.
But we aren't just giving up. Human communication is practically evolving right now to bridge this exact gap.
Yes, it is.
We have intuitively realized our biological limitations, and we are currently building our own emergent intelligence to act as the cosmic translator. We are building advanced artificial intelligence.
This is the most crucial practical application of everything we've explored today. Artificial intelligence does not have the biological limitations of the human brain.
It is not constrained by a sequential, linear internal monologue.
Not at all.
So explain how AI actually processes information, because this perfectly mirrors the alien geometric communication we discussed earlier. I want to talk about latent space.
Latent space is the key to understanding how AI thinks. When a modern massive AI model processes language or concepts, it doesn't read a dictionary.
No.
It maps concepts mathematically in a vast multidimensional space. Imagine a physical space with thousands of dimensions, not just up, down, left, and right.
Okay, that hurts my brain, but I'm with you.
The AI places concepts that are related close to each other in this space.
So the concept of king is mathematically located near queen, and man is near woman.
Exactly. And the relationship between them is pure geometry. The distance and angle from man to king is the exact same geometric distance and angle from woman to queen.
So the AI doesn't understand the English word itself.
It understands the spatial geometry of the concept. It sees the entire network of human knowledge simultaneously as a massive, multidimensional ship.
Which is exactly how we hypothesized an advanced NHI would think.
Hmm.
We are building a synthetic mind that natively understands geometry.
Yes. AI isn't functioning as a simple language dictionary translating English to alien. It is translating between entirely different modes of organizing reality.
It is finding patterns in the noise that no human analyst could ever detect.
An AI can look at the arrival times of millions of microscopic quantum anomalies across different star systems, cross-reference them with the slow shifts in gravitational fields over a decade, and instantaneously recognize the geometric structure hidden within the data.
It can actually see the canvas.
It can.
We have been trying to read the vast, multidimensional universe using only our sense of smell, and AI is finally giving us a pair of eyes.
That is a perfect way to phrase it.
Slowly, as these systems become more integrated with our deep space observatories, the illusion of the silent universe is going to shatter. We will realize that the silence of space was never empty.
It was deafeningly loud.
It was completely saturated with signals, structures, and ancient conversations. We just didn't know how to hear them. We had the wrong instruments, but more importantly, we had the wrong concept of mind.
We were looking for a mirror, and the universe was offering us a map.
So let's bring all of this home to you, the listener. If humanity is ever going to truly connect with non-human intelligence, we have to let go.
We really do.
We have to let go of the arrogant illusion of the pilot. We have to let go of our linear timelines, our sequential sentences, and our childish expectation of a neat little radio broadcast saying hello.
We have to recognize the profound intelligence in the chemistry of the swarm.
The autopoietic survival of our own massive bureaucracies.
The geometry of quantum entanglement.
And the slow, deep breathing of planetary thermostats.
And this journey raises one final, truly unsettling question for you to mull over.
What's that?
We are currently building AI to act as our cosmic translator.
Right.
If that AI succeeds, if it receives a simultaneous, massive geometric message from a billion-year-old decentralized intelligence, and actually manages to decode that map into something human beings can grasp, will the mere act of comprehending that nonlinear message fundamentally alter the shape of our own human consciousness?
Wow.
By learning to read the cosmic map, do we finally cease to be the simple, isolated biological switches and actually become an integrated, conscious part of the larger cosmic mind?
Maybe the phone isn't ringing. Maybe the phone is the room. Maybe the phone is the planet. And maybe, just maybe, we're finally evolving the ears to hear it. Thanks for stepping into the unknown and exploring the true shape of intelligence with us on this deep dive. Keep looking up, but more importantly, keep questioning exactly how you're looking.